Welcome to Aging Well Today, where we believe that growing older doesn't mean giving up your health, your independence, or the life you love. Every week, we explore the warning signs that too many older adults overlook, explain what your body may be trying to tell you in simple, everyday language, and share practical habits that can help you stay stronger for years to come. Today, we're talking about a condition that often develops quietly, without pain or obvious symptoms, kidney disease. And the earliest clues may be hiding in changes that many people simply blame on getting older. On a quiet Monday morning, 68-year-old James followed the same routine he had enjoyed for years. He poured himself a cup of coffee, stepped onto his back porch, and watched the sun slowly rise over his neighborhood in Ohio. Retirement had given him the time to appreciate mornings like this, and for the most part, he felt fortunate. There was just one thing that had been bothering him lately. He found himself waking up more often during the night to use the bathroom. His ankles looked a little puffy by evening. Some afternoons, he felt unusually tired, even after doing very little. None of it seemed serious. After all, he was getting older. His friends often joked that once you turned 65, sleeping through the night became a distant memory. Everyone complained about sore joints, swollen feet after a long day, and needing an afternoon nap. James simply assumed he had joined the club, so he ignored the changes. Weeks turned into months. The symptoms became part of everyday life, so familiar that he barely noticed them anymore. Then, during a routine checkup, his doctor reviewed some blood work and paused. "James," he said gently, "your kidneys aren't working as well as they should." James was stunned. His kidneys? He had never experienced severe pain. He had never felt seriously ill. How could something so important be going wrong without him realizing it? The truth is that kidney disease is often called a silent disease for a reason. In its early stages, it may cause only subtle changes that many older adults dismiss as nothing more than the natural process of aging. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Your body may be trying to get your attention long before obvious symptoms appear. The question is, are those little changes you've been noticing really just signs of getting older? Or could they be quiet warnings that your kidneys need help long before it's too late? Let's take a closer look. If you've reached your 60s or beyond, you've probably noticed that your body doesn't always respond the way it once did. You may wake up feeling a little stiffer than you used to. You might need an extra trip to the bathroom during the night. Perhaps you don't have quite the same energy you had 10 years ago. These changes are so common that many older adults simply accept them as part of growing older. And sometimes, that's exactly what they are. But sometimes, they're not. That's what makes kidney disease so challenging. Unlike a broken bone or a severe infection, kidney disease rarely announces itself with dramatic symptoms in its early stages. Instead, it often develops quietly, giving only subtle hints that something isn't quite right. Your kidneys are remarkable organs. Every single day, they filter waste from your blood, help balance fluids, regulate important minerals, support healthy blood pressure, and even play a role in keeping your bones strong and your body producing enough healthy red blood cells. Most of us never think about them until they stop doing their job properly. The difficult part is that your kidneys can continue working even after they've lost a significant amount of their filtering ability. That means many people feel relatively normal while damage is slowly progressing behind the scenes. This is one reason why routine medical checkups and laboratory tests are so important, especially as we grow older. Age itself is one of several factors that can increase the risk of kidney disease. Conditions that become more common later in life, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease, can also place extra strain on the kidneys over time. Family history, smoking, obesity, and long-term use of certain medications may contribute as well. Yet despite these risks, countless seniors never suspect their kidneys could be the problem. Why? Because the symptoms often imitate ordinary aging. Feeling tired? That's just getting older, swollen feet after a long day. I've been on my feet too much, getting up several times during the night. Everyone my age does that. A poor appetite? It's probably nothing. One harmless explanation leads to another, and before long, months or even years can pass without anyone realizing that the kidneys have been quietly struggling. The encouraging news is that awareness can make a real difference. Recognizing unusual changes doesn't mean assuming the worst. It means giving yourself the opportunity to ask questions, seek medical advice when appropriate, and identify potential problems before they become much more difficult to manage. That's exactly why today's conversation matters. As we explore the 8 silent signs of kidney disease, you'll notice that none of them are dramatic on their own. In fact, you may have experienced one or two yourself. The key isn't to become worried about every symptom. The key is to recognize patterns, changes that are new, changes that persist, changes that don't quite fit your normal routine. To better understand how easy these warning signs are to overlook, let's return to James's story. His experience mirrors what many older adults discover only after a routine doctor's visit, when they realize the clues had been there all along, quietly woven into everyday life. For millions of older Americans, kidney disease isn't something they think about. Heart attacks, strokes, cancer. Those are the illnesses that usually come to mind. Kidney disease, on the other hand, often stays in the background, quiet, unnoticed, and easy to dismiss. That's exactly what happened to Martha. At 70 years old, Martha had built a life she was proud of. She lived in a peaceful neighborhood outside Nashville, loved tending to the flowers in her backyard, and never missed her grandson's Saturday baseball games. If you had asked her how she was feeling, she would have smiled and said, "I'm doing pretty well for 70." And honestly, she believed it. Sure, she was more tired than she used to be. She woke up 2 or 3 times every night to use the bathroom. By evening, her shoes felt tighter around her feet. Some mornings, breakfast simply didn't sound appealing, but none of those changes seemed unusual. Her friends talked about the same things. Her sister often complained about swollen ankles. The women at church laughed about never sleeping through the night anymore. It all sounded like normal aging. So Martha never mentioned these changes to her doctor, not because she was hiding them, because she genuinely believed they weren't important. Then one afternoon, while helping her daughter prepare Sunday dinner, she became unusually exhausted. Not tired, exhausted. After peeling just a few potatoes, she sat down in the kitchen chair. Her daughter looked at her with concern. "Mom, are you okay?" Martha forced a smile. "I guess I'm just getting old." Those words are spoken by millions of seniors every single day. Sometimes they're true, but sometimes they're not. A few weeks later, Martha went in for her annual physical. She expected the usual conversation about cholesterol and blood pressure. Instead, her doctor returned with a serious expression. "I'd like to talk about your kidney function." Martha stared back, confused. "My kidneys? But they don't hurt," her doctor nodded. That's exactly why many people don't realize there's a problem. Kidney disease often develops quietly. It rarely causes pain in its early stages, and many of its first warning signs look just like normal aging. That sentence stayed with Martha long after she left the office. She replayed the past year in her mind. The fatigue, the swelling, the nighttime bathroom trips, the lack of appetite. None of them had seemed connected. Each symptom had appeared slowly, blending into everyday life until they no longer felt unusual. But together, they were telling a story her body had been trying to tell for months. Fortunately, Martha's kidney disease was discovered before it reached a more advanced stage. Her healthcare team adjusted her medications, discussed lifestyle changes, and created a plan to help protect the kidney function she still had. Looking back, Martha often says there wasn't one dramatic moment that changed everything. There were dozens of small moments. Moments she ignored because they didn't seem important. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson kidney disease teaches us. It doesn't always arrive with loud alarms. More often, it arrives as quiet whispers. A little more fatigue, a little more swelling, a few more trips to the bathroom, a meal you no longer feel like eating. Each one may have many possible explanations. But when several of these changes begin appearing together, or when they persist for weeks, it may be your body's way of asking you to pay closer attention. Because healthy aging should never mean ignoring new or unexplained symptoms. It means learning the difference between changes that are expected and changes that deserve a conversation with your healthcare provider. And the first silent sign we're about to discuss is one that millions of older adults experience every single day, never realizing it could be connected to their kidneys. Silent sign number 1, changes in urination. Have you noticed that your bathroom habits aren't quite what they used to be? Maybe you're waking up 2 or 3 times every night. Perhaps you're making more trips to the restroom during the day. Or maybe you've noticed that your urine looks different than it did a few months ago. If you're over 60, it's easy to assume these changes are simply another part of getting older. In fact, many seniors do. After all, we've all heard people say, once you reach a certain age, you'll be getting up all night. While it's true that aging can affect bladder function, not every change in urination should be dismissed as normal aging. Your kidneys are responsible for filtering your blood around the clock. Every day, they remove waste products, balance fluids, regulate important minerals, and help your body eliminate toxins through urine. When the kidneys begin to lose some of their filtering ability, one of the earliest clues often appears in the bathroom. The changes may be so subtle that you hardly notice them at first. You might find yourself waking up more frequently during the night to urinate. You may notice that you're producing either more or less urine than usual. Sometimes the urine becomes unusually foamy, almost as though soap has been mixed into the toilet water. Other people notice darker colored urine or even traces of blood. These changes don't automatically mean kidney disease. Infections, certain medications, dehydration, an enlarged prostate in men, or bladder conditions can also affect urination. That's why it's important not to jump to conclusions. But it's equally important not to ignore persistent changes, especially if they're new for you. Think back to Martha. One of the first things she noticed was waking up multiple times each night. At first, she blamed drinking too much tea before bedtime. Then she blamed getting older. Months passed before she realized this wasn't simply an inconvenience. It was a change her body had been trying to bring to her attention. According to kidney specialists, one of the reasons nighttime urination can occur is that damaged kidneys may gradually lose some of their ability to properly concentrate urine. As a result, the body may produce more urine during the night than it once did. Again, this symptom alone doesn't confirm kidney disease, but when it appears alongside fatigue, swelling, poor appetite, or other unexplained changes, it becomes a much more important piece of the puzzle. Here are a few questions worth asking yourself. Have your bathroom habits changed noticeably over the past few months? Are you waking up much more often than you used to? Have you noticed persistent foam, blood, or an unusual color in your urine? Is this change becoming your new normal without a clear explanation? If your answer is yes, don't simply assume it's because of age. Mention it during your next medical appointment. A simple urine test and blood test can often provide valuable information about how well your kidneys are working. The goal isn't to become alarmed. The goal is to stay informed. Because sometimes, the smallest changes tell the biggest story. And the second warning sign is one that countless older adults blame on standing too long, hot weather, or even wearing the wrong shoes. But in some cases, it's your body quietly telling you that your kidneys are struggling to keep your fluids in balance. Silent sign number 2, swollen feet, ankles, or hands. Have you ever taken off your shoes at the end of the day and noticed deep marks left behind by your socks? Or perhaps you've slipped off your wedding ring and realized it feels tighter than it used to. Most people don't think much about it. It's just the heat. I've been on my feet all day. I guess this is what happens when you get older. And sometimes, those explanations are absolutely correct. But when swelling becomes frequent, lasts for days, or gradually worsens over time, it may be your body's way of telling you that something deserves a closer look. Your kidneys do much more than produce urine. Every minute of every day, they work quietly behind the scenes to regulate the delicate balance of fluids and minerals throughout your body. Think of them as your body's natural filtration and fluid management system. When they're healthy, they carefully remove excess water and sodium while keeping everything in balance. But when kidney function begins to decline, that balance can slowly change. Instead of removing extra fluid efficiently, the body may begin holding on to it. At first, the change is almost impossible to notice. Maybe your shoes feel slightly tighter by evening. Maybe your ankles look a little puffier after dinner. Perhaps your watch or ring feels snug even though your weight hasn't changed. Because these changes usually develop gradually, many seniors simply adapt to them without realizing they're becoming more frequent. That's exactly what happened to Martha. Every evening after watering her garden, she noticed faint sock lines around her ankles. She laughed about it with a friend. I guess gravity finally caught up with me. As summer turned into fall, those marks became deeper. Her slippers felt tighter. Some mornings, the swelling had improved. By evening, it had returned. She assumed it was just another part of getting older. It wasn't until her doctor gently pressed a finger against her ankle during a routine examination that she realized something wasn't right. The small indentation remained for a few moments before slowly disappearing. Her doctor explained that swelling, also called edema, can have many different causes. Long periods of sitting, heart conditions, problems with the veins, certain medications, and yes, changes in kidney function. That's why swelling should never be used to diagnose yourself. But it should encourage you to pay attention, especially when it appears together with other symptoms like fatigue, changes in urination, loss of appetite, or unexplained weakness. Ask yourself, have your shoes become noticeably tighter over the past few months? Do your socks leave deeper marks than they used to? Do your rings feel unusually tight, even when the weather hasn't changed? Is the swelling happening more often than it once did? If the answer is yes, don't ignore it. Bring it up during your next medical appointment. Your healthcare provider can evaluate whether the swelling is related to your kidneys or another medical condition that also deserves attention. The important thing to remember is this. Healthy aging doesn't usually happen overnight, neither does kidney disease. Both develop gradually. The difference is that one reflects the natural passage of time, while the other may be quietly asking for medical care. And the third warning sign may be the easiest one of all to overlook because nearly everyone experiences it from time to time. The question is not whether you feel tired. The question is whether your tiredness feels different from the person you've always known yourself to be. Silent sign number 3, constant fatigue that doesn't improve with rest. Have you ever woken up after what should have been a full night's sleep, only to feel like you could crawl right back into bed? For many older adults, that feeling seems almost expected. It's just my age. I don't have the energy I used to. Maybe I didn't sleep well. Those explanations are common. But there's an important question worth asking. What if your tiredness isn't simply the result of getting older? What if it's your body quietly telling you that something deeper is happening? Imagine Robert, a 72-year-old retired high school teacher from North Carolina. For more than 30 years, he had started every morning the same way: a cup of black coffee, a walk around the neighborhood, and breakfast with his wife before beginning the day. Even after retirement, he kept the routine. His morning walks became shorter, his pace became slower, but he was still active, still independent, and still enjoyed life. Then something changed. Not suddenly. Almost so gradually that he didn't notice it at first. After a short walk, he felt unusually drained. By lunchtime, he needed to sit down. Simple chores, bringing groceries inside, mowing a small section of the lawn, carrying a basket of laundry, left him feeling completely exhausted. His wife gently asked, "Are you feeling okay?" Robert smiled. "I'm 72. I guess this is just what 72 feels like. It's a sentence doctors hear every day. And sometimes it's true. But sometimes it causes people to ignore one of the body's earliest warning signs. Healthy aging may slow us down a little, but it shouldn't leave us feeling exhausted by everyday life. When kidney function begins to decline, waste products and excess fluid can gradually build up in the bloodstream instead of being removed efficiently. Over time, this can leave a person feeling tired, sluggish, and mentally drained. The kidneys also help the body produce a hormone that signals the bone marrow to make red blood cells. As kidney disease progresses, some people develop anemia, meaning there aren't enough healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen throughout the body. Less oxygen reaching the muscles and brain often means less energy. Suddenly, activities that once felt effortless become surprisingly difficult. You may notice feeling tired even after sleeping well, needing naps much more often than before. Losing energy halfway through simple daily activities, feeling physically weak without a clear reason, having trouble concentrating because of constant fatigue. Of course, fatigue has many possible causes: poor sleep, stress, depression, heart disease, thyroid problems, certain medications, vitamin deficiencies. That's why fatigue alone should never be used to diagnose kidney disease. But when it becomes persistent, unexplained, and appears alongside other changes such as swelling, nighttime urination, or a poor appetite, it deserves a conversation with your healthcare provider. Looking back, Robert realized something that surprised him. He hadn't become tired overnight. His world had simply become a little smaller each month. He stopped taking long walks. Then he stopped working in the garden. Eventually, he stopped accepting invitations because he didn't have the energy. It happened so gradually that he never noticed how much his life had changed. Many seniors experience the same thing. They slowly adjust to doing less and less, believing it's simply part of aging. But sometimes, the body isn't asking you to slow down. It's asking you to pay attention, because healthy aging should still allow you to enjoy the people, places, and activities that bring meaning to your life. And the next silent warning sign often appears around the dinner table. Many older adults think they've simply become less hungry with age. In reality, their kidneys may be sending another quiet message. Silent sign number 4, loss of appetite or a metallic taste in your mouth. When was the last time your favorite meal simply didn't taste the same? Perhaps your morning coffee suddenly seemed bitter. Maybe the steak you used to enjoy every Sunday no longer sounded appealing. Or perhaps you found yourself eating only a few bites before feeling completely full. Most people assume these changes are just another part of getting older. My appetite isn't what it used to be. I guess my taste buds are changing. I'm just not as hungry these days. While it's true that appetite can naturally change with age, a persistent loss of appetite is never something that should simply be ignored. For many people living with early kidney disease, eating gradually becomes less enjoyable, not because the food has changed, but because their body has. Imagine Helen, a 74-year-old retired elementary school teacher from Oregon. For decades, Sunday dinner was her favorite family tradition. Her children, grandchildren, and even a few neighbors would gather around the dining table. Helen was famous for her homemade roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and warm apple pie. She loved cooking almost as much as she loved watching everyone enjoy the meal. But over the course of several months, something began to change. She found herself tasting the food while cooking and feeling strangely uninterested. When dinner was finally served, she barely finished half her plate. Her daughter noticed. "Mom, is everything okay? You hardly ate anything." Helen smiled. "I'm just getting older. I don't need as much food anymore." It sounded reasonable. In fact, everyone at the table accepted that explanation. No one thought much about it, but the following weeks brought more changes. Coffee developed a strange metallic taste. Some foods tasted unusually bitter. Even her favorite desserts no longer sounded tempting. Without trying, Helen lost nearly 10 pounds over the next few months. She wasn't dieting. She wasn't exercising more. She simply didn't feel like eating. When she finally mentioned it during a routine appointment, her doctor explained that declining kidney function can sometimes allow waste products to build up in the bloodstream. Those changes may affect the way food tastes, reduce appetite, or even cause mild nausea in some individuals. Not everyone with kidney disease experiences these symptoms, and loss of appetite can certainly have many other causes: digestive conditions, medication side effects, depression, dental problems, even changes in the sense of smell. That's why no single symptom should ever be used to diagnose kidney disease. But when appetite changes become persistent, especially when they occur alongside fatigue, swelling, or changes in urination, they become an important piece of the bigger picture. Ask yourself, have you lost interest in foods you once loved? Do meals leave you feeling full after only a few bites? Have you noticed a persistent metallic or bitter taste in your mouth? Have you lost weight without trying? If the answer is yes, don't simply assume it's because you're getting older. Your body may be asking for a closer look. A simple conversation with your healthcare provider can help determine whether these changes are related to your kidneys or another condition that deserves attention. Helen often says the hardest part wasn't the diagnosis. It was realizing how many opportunities she had missed to mention these small changes. She thought they were too ordinary to matter. But ordinary changes, when they continue week after week, are often the very clues doctors rely on to recognize a problem early. And the next warning sign is one that many seniors never connect to their kidneys because it appears on the skin, not deep inside the body. For some people, the first visible clue isn't in a blood test or a urine sample. It's the constant urge to scratch. Silent sign number 5, persistent itchy skin. Have you ever found yourself scratching your arms or legs for no obvious reason? Maybe it happens while you're watching television in the evening. Perhaps you wake up during the night because your skin feels unbearably itchy. You try changing soaps. You apply lotion. You drink more water. For a few days, it seems to improve. Then the itching comes right back. Most people assume it's simply dry skin. And to be fair, dry skin is incredibly common as we grow older. Our skin naturally becomes thinner, loses moisture more easily, and is often affected by changes in weather, heating systems, and medications. But what if the itching isn't starting on your skin at all? What if it's beginning much deeper inside your body? Imagine Dorothy, a 76-year-old retired nurse from Missouri. She had spent her entire career caring for other people. Ironically, when her own body started sending warning signs, she brushed them aside. It began during the winter. Every evening, her arms seemed unusually itchy. She bought a stronger moisturizer. She switched laundry detergents. She even changed her soap because she thought it might be causing an allergic reaction. Nothing seemed to help. Weeks turned into months. The itching slowly spread to her back and legs. There was no obvious rash, no insect bites, no redness that explained why she couldn't stop scratching. It must just be old skin, she told her daughter. After all, she had seen plenty of older patients complain about dry skin over the years. But during a routine medical appointment, her doctor asked an unexpected question. "Besides the itching, have you been more tired lately?" Dorothy paused. "Actually, yes. Have your ankles been swelling?" Again, yes. "Any changes in your appetite?" She nodded. Only then did she begin to realize that these seemingly unrelated symptoms might actually be connected. Her doctor explained that when kidney function declines, waste products and minerals that are normally removed from the bloodstream can gradually build up. Over time, these changes may contribute to persistent itching in some people, particularly as kidney disease becomes more advanced. It's important to remember that itchy skin has many possible causes: dry air, eczema, allergies, liver disease, diabetes, medication side effects, even simple dehydration. That's why itching alone does not mean someone has kidney disease. But when persistent itching appears alongside fatigue, swelling, appetite changes, or abnormal urination, it becomes another clue worth discussing with your healthcare provider. Ask yourself, have you been dealing with ongoing itching for weeks or months? Does it continue despite using moisturizers or changing skincare products? Is there little or no visible rash to explain it? Are other unusual symptoms happening at the same time? If so, don't simply assume it's just dry skin. Sometimes, your skin is reflecting changes happening elsewhere in the body. Dorothy often says that what surprised her most wasn't the diagnosis. It was realizing that her skin had been trying to tell her a story long before she understood the language. The body has remarkable ways of communicating. Sometimes it whispers through swelling, sometimes through fatigue, and sometimes through a persistent itch that refuses to go away. The next warning sign may be even easier to overlook because it doesn't involve pain, swelling, or itching. Instead, it affects something many older adults simply accept as part of retirement, a mind that doesn't feel quite as sharp as it used to. Silent sign number 6, difficulty concentrating or brain fog. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there, or paused in the middle of a conversation because the right word simply wouldn't come? Moments like these happen to everyone. In fact, occasional forgetfulness is a normal part of life, especially as we grow older. But there's a difference between an occasional memory lapse and feeling as though your mind isn't working the way it used to. Many seniors describe it the same way. "I just don't feel as sharp anymore. It's like my brain is moving through fog. I know what I want to do, but I can't seem to focus." Most people assume it's simply another consequence of aging. Some blame poor sleep. Others blame stress. Many never mention it to their doctor at all. But persistent brain fog isn't something you should automatically accept as normal. Imagine Richard, a 73-year-old retired accountant from Colorado. For decades, numbers came naturally to him. He balanced family finances without a calculator. He remembered birthdays, phone numbers, and appointments without writing anything down. His children often joked that he had a better memory than anyone in the family. Then, little by little, something changed. He found himself rereading the same page of the newspaper several times before it made sense. During card games with friends, he struggled to keep track of simple scores. One afternoon, he drove to the grocery store and suddenly couldn't remember what he had planned to buy. It wasn't dementia. It wasn't dramatic memory loss. It was simply a persistent feeling that his mind wasn't as clear as it had always been. His wife noticed the change before he did. "You've been forgetting little things lately," she said gently. Richard laughed. "I'm 73. What do you expect?" Like so many older adults, he assumed that was the end of the story. But it wasn't. Several months later, routine blood tests revealed that his kidney function had declined significantly. His physician explained something Richard had never considered. Healthy kidneys do far more than filter waste. When they aren't working properly, waste products can gradually build up in the bloodstream. Over time, those changes may affect how clearly the brain functions, leaving some people feeling mentally sluggish, unfocused, or unusually forgetful. This doesn't happen to everyone, and brain fog has many possible causes: poor sleep, medication side effects, vitamin deficiencies, depression, thyroid disorders, dehydration, even chronic stress. That's why no one should assume kidney disease simply because they're feeling forgetful. But when persistent difficulty concentrating appears alongside fatigue, swelling, appetite changes, or changes in urination, it becomes another important clue that deserves medical attention. Ask yourself, have you been struggling to focus on tasks that once felt easy? Do you frequently lose your train of thought? Are you forgetting things more often than feels normal for you? Does your mind feel unusually foggy day after day? If these changes are new, persistent, or becoming more noticeable, don't dismiss them as just getting older. Your brain depends on the rest of your body working well, including your kidneys. Richard often says the most frustrating part wasn't forgetting things. It was believing that he simply had to accept feeling less like himself. The good news is that many conditions affecting concentration can be evaluated and treated once the underlying cause is identified. Growing older doesn't mean giving up mental clarity. It means paying attention when your body begins asking for help. And the next warning sign often appears where few people think to look. It's not in your energy. It's not in your skin. It's not even in your appetite. It's on your face. Sometimes, the mirror notices what you haven't, especially when puffiness around the eyes becomes a regular part of your mornings. Silent sign number 7, persistent puffiness around the eyes. When you look in the mirror each morning, what do you see? Perhaps you notice a few more wrinkles than you did 10 years ago. Maybe your hair has become a little grayer. Those are changes most of us expect with age. But what if, morning after morning, you begin noticing something different? Your eyes look unusually puffy. Not because you cried the night before, not because you didn't sleep well, but because the swelling seems to appear again and again. Most people don't think much of it. Maybe I had too much salt yesterday. I probably didn't get enough sleep. It's just allergies. Those explanations are certainly possible. In fact, they're far more common than kidney disease. But persistent puffiness around the eyes, especially when it appears alongside other symptoms we've discussed today, may be another quiet clue that your kidneys deserve attention. Let's meet Evelyn, a 71-year-old retired librarian from Virginia. Every morning, she followed the same routine. She made a cup of tea, read a chapter from her favorite novel, and got ready for the day. One morning, while applying her makeup, she noticed that the skin around her eyes looked unusually swollen. She shrugged it off. The next morning, it happened again. Weeks passed. Some days were better than others, but the puffiness never completely disappeared. Her daughter suggested it might be allergies. A friend recommended a new eye cream. Another neighbor insisted she simply needed more sleep. Evelyn tried every suggestion. Nothing changed. Eventually, during her annual physical, she casually mentioned it to her physician, almost as an afterthought. By the way, my eyes seem puffy almost every morning. The doctor didn't ignore the comment. Instead, he asked a few more questions. Have you noticed any swelling in your ankles? Yes. Have you been feeling more tired than usual? Actually, yes. Any changes in your urination? Again, yes. Only then did Evelyn realize that these seemingly unrelated changes might all be connected. Her physician explained that healthy kidneys normally keep important proteins, especially a protein called albumin, inside the bloodstream, where they belong. When the kidneys become damaged, small amounts of protein can sometimes leak into the urine. Over time, lower protein levels in the blood may allow fluid to collect more easily in certain parts of the body, including the delicate tissues around the eyes. That's one reason some people with kidney disease develop persistent puffiness, particularly in the morning. Of course, swollen eyelids can have many other explanations: seasonal allergies, sinus problems, poor sleep, eye infections, thyroid disorders, even normal aging. That's why puffy eyes alone should never be considered proof of kidney disease. But when they appear together with fatigue, swelling in the legs, changes in appetite, or unusual urination, they become another important clue that shouldn't be overlooked. Ask yourself, do your eyes appear swollen most mornings? Has the puffiness become more frequent over the past few months? Does it occur alongside other unexplained symptoms? Have family members commented that your face looks different lately? If so, it's worth mentioning during your next healthcare visit. Sometimes, a simple observation in the mirror can lead to an important conversation that helps uncover a condition while it's still in its earlier stages. Evelyn often says she almost didn't mention her puffy eyes because they seemed too insignificant. Looking back, she's grateful she did. Because our bodies rarely communicate through just one symptom. More often, they leave us a trail of small clues. And the eighth and final warning sign is perhaps the most misunderstood of them all. Many seniors believe it's simply part of aging. Some blame arthritis. Others blame sleeping in the wrong position. But in certain cases, it may be one final signal that your kidneys are quietly struggling. Let's take a closer look. Silent sign number 8, muscle cramps and restless legs. Have you ever been sound asleep, only to wake up with a painful cramp shooting through your calf? Or perhaps you've settled into your favorite chair after dinner, ready to relax, only to feel an irresistible urge to keep moving your legs. Many older adults know exactly what that's like. It's just another part of getting older. I probably didn't drink enough water. I must have overworked my muscles. And very often, they're right. Muscle cramps are common, especially as we age. They can be caused by dehydration, overexertion, certain medications, poor circulation, or even sitting in one position for too long. But when muscle cramps become frequent, more intense, or begin appearing alongside the other warning signs we've discussed today, they may deserve a closer look. Let's meet Harold, a 75-year-old retired electrician from Indiana. Harold had always been an active man. Even in retirement, he enjoyed fishing, working in his garage, and taking evening walks with his wife. Then, little by little, his nights began to change. Several times a week, he woke suddenly with severe cramps in his calves. The muscles tightened so intensely that he had to get out of bed and slowly walk around the room before the pain eased. At first, he blamed dehydration, so he drank more water. The cramps continued. Then he blamed his age. After all, nearly everyone in his weekly breakfast group complained about aching muscles and nighttime leg cramps. Harold figured he was simply experiencing the same thing. But a few months later, another symptom appeared. Whenever he sat still for more than a few minutes, his legs felt strangely uncomfortable. It wasn't exactly pain. It wasn't numbness. It was a constant urge to move. Watching television became frustrating. Long car rides became uncomfortable. Even reading a book required him to stand up and stretch every few minutes. His wife encouraged him to mention it during his annual checkup. Almost reluctantly, he did. His physician explained that healthy kidneys help maintain the delicate balance of important minerals in the bloodstream, including potassium, calcium, sodium, and magnesium. These minerals play an essential role in helping muscles contract and relax normally. When kidney function declines, those mineral levels can sometimes become unbalanced. In some people, that imbalance may contribute to muscle cramps, muscle weakness, or uncomfortable sensations in the legs. Of course, kidney disease is far from the only possible explanation. Cramps can result from medications such as diuretics. They can occur because of poor circulation, nerve disorders, vitamin deficiencies, or simply dehydration. That's why muscle cramps alone should never be considered proof of kidney disease. But when they're accompanied by persistent fatigue, swelling, appetite changes, abnormal urination, itchy skin, or difficulty concentrating, they become another piece of a much larger picture. Ask yourself, have nighttime leg cramps become more frequent than they used to be? Do your legs feel unusually restless when you're trying to relax? Have these symptoms appeared alongside other changes we've discussed today? Do they continue despite staying hydrated and stretching regularly? If they do, don't simply dismiss them as another unavoidable part of aging. Your healthcare provider can help determine whether your symptoms are related to your kidneys, your circulation, your nervous system, your medications, or another treatable condition. Looking back, Harold says he wishes he had stopped blaming every new symptom on age, because one symptom can be misleading. Two may be coincidence. But when several quiet changes begin appearing together, your body may be trying to tell you something important. And that's the message I hope you'll remember from today's discussion. Kidney disease rarely begins with loud warnings. More often, it begins with whispers. A little more fatigue, a little more swelling, a few extra trips to the bathroom, a fading appetite, persistent itching, brain fog, puffy eyes, nighttime muscle cramps. Each symptom may seem small on its own, but together, they tell a story that deserves to be heard. The encouraging news is this: recognizing these warning signs doesn't mean assuming the worst. It means giving yourself the opportunity to ask questions, seek medical advice, and protect your health while there is still time to make a meaningful difference. Because the earlier kidney disease is recognized, the more opportunities there may be to slow its progression and preserve the quality of life you've worked so hard to build. And before we finish, there are 3 common mistakes many seniors make that can quietly place even more stress on their kidneys without realizing it. Those everyday habits may surprise you. 3 everyday habits that quietly damage your kidneys after 60. If you've made it this far, you've already learned that kidney disease rarely begins with dramatic symptoms. It usually starts quietly. A little more fatigue, a little more swelling, a few changes that seem easy to explain away. But here's something many people don't realize. Sometimes, it's not just the disease itself that's affecting the kidneys. It's the small, everyday habits we repeat without thinking. Habits that feel completely harmless. Habits that millions of older adults have followed for years. Let's look at 3 of the most common ones. Habit number 1, taking over-the-counter pain relievers too often. For many seniors, aches and pains are simply part of life. A sore back after gardening, an arthritic knee, shoulder pain from years of hard work. It's no surprise that medications like ibuprofen or naproxen become trusted companions. They help people stay active. They make everyday life more comfortable. But what many people don't realize is that frequent or long-term use of certain pain relievers, especially non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs, can reduce blood flow to the kidneys and increase the risk of kidney injury in some individuals. That doesn't mean these medications are bad. They have helped millions of people manage pain safely. The key is using them wisely and according to your healthcare provider's advice, especially if you already have kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart disease. If you find yourself reaching for pain relievers almost every day, it may be worth asking your doctor, is this still the safest option for me? Sometimes, a simple conversation can lead to safer alternatives. Habit number 2, not drinking enough water. As strange as it sounds, many older adults simply don't feel thirsty. The natural sensation of thirst often becomes less noticeable with age. Some people even avoid drinking water because they don't want to make frequent trips to the bathroom. Others worry about bladder leakage, so they drink less, much less. While fluid needs vary from person to person, and some medical conditions require fluid restrictions, chronic dehydration can place additional stress on the kidneys. Healthy kidneys depend on adequate blood flow to perform their job effectively. Without enough fluid, that task becomes more difficult. A simple habit like carrying a reusable water bottle, sipping water throughout the day, or drinking fluids with meals may help many people stay better hydrated. Of course, if your healthcare provider has told you to limit fluids because of kidney disease, heart failure, or another medical condition, always follow their specific recommendations. The goal isn't to drink as much water as possible. The goal is to drink the amount that's right for your health. Habit number 3. Assuming no symptoms means no problem. This may be the most dangerous habit of all, because kidney disease often develops silently. Many people believe they don't need to worry unless they feel sick. But that's not how kidney disease usually works. In fact, many people don't experience obvious symptoms until kidney function has already declined significantly. That's why routine medical checkups become increasingly important after the age of 60. Simple blood tests can estimate how well your kidneys are filtering. Urine tests can detect protein leaking into the urine, sometimes years before major symptoms develop. These are quick, routine tests, yet they can provide information that may help protect your health for years to come. Don't wait for your body to shout. Listen while it's still whispering. A final thought before we finish. If today's discussion has taught us anything, it's this. Your kidneys work quietly every minute of every day. They ask for very little. And when something begins to go wrong, they often speak in subtle ways. A little swelling, a little fatigue, a change in appetite, a few extra trips to the bathroom. None of these symptoms automatically mean kidney disease, but they do deserve attention when they persist or begin appearing together. Because awareness isn't about creating fear. It's about creating opportunity. Opportunity to ask questions, opportunity to have a conversation with your healthcare provider, opportunity to discover a problem while there is still time to protect the kidney function you have. And perhaps that's one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves as we grow older, not ignoring the quiet signals, but learning to understand them. If there's one thing I hope you remember after watching today's video, it's this. Growing older does not mean accepting every new symptom as just part of aging. Our bodies change over time. That's completely natural. We may walk a little slower, need a little more rest, take a little longer to recover after a busy day, but healthy aging and untreated disease are not the same thing. And learning to recognize the difference may be one of the most valuable skills you ever develop. Think back to all 8 warning signs we've discussed today. Changes in urination, swelling in your feet or ankles, persistent fatigue, loss of appetite, itchy skin, brain fog, puffy eyes, muscle cramps. None of these symptoms automatically mean you have kidney disease. In fact, each one can have many different causes. That's an important point. The purpose of this video is not to encourage self-diagnosis. It's to encourage awareness, because awareness leads to conversations, and conversations often lead to answers. One of the greatest advantages of modern medicine is that kidney disease can frequently be detected with simple laboratory tests, often before serious symptoms develop. A routine blood test can help estimate how well your kidneys are filtering waste. A urine test can reveal protein leakage that may be impossible to notice on your own. These are not complicated procedures, yet they can provide life-changing information. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, or a family history of kidney problems, regular checkups become even more important. The earlier changes are recognized, the more opportunities there may be to slow the progression of kidney disease and protect the kidney function you still have. And that's something worth holding on to, because your kidneys do far more than most people realize. Every day, they quietly help regulate your blood pressure, balance fluids, maintain healthy minerals, support strong bones, produce hormones that help prevent anemia, and remove countless waste products that your body no longer needs. They ask for very little recognition. They simply do their job, until one day, they can't. The encouraging news is that many people with early kidney disease continue living active, meaningful lives for many years by working closely with their healthcare team. Small, consistent habits often make a remarkable difference. Managing blood pressure, keeping blood sugar under control if you have diabetes, following medication instructions carefully, staying physically active within your abilities, eating a balanced diet, avoiding tobacco, keeping regular medical appointments. These aren't dramatic changes. They're ordinary choices, repeated day after day. And over time, ordinary choices have extraordinary power. Remember Martha? She once believed that every new symptom was simply another birthday candle on the cake. Today, she sees things differently. She still enjoys tending her garden. She still spends weekends with her grandchildren. She still bakes her famous apple pie. The difference is that she listens to her body now. She doesn't panic over every ache or pain, but she also doesn't ignore persistent changes that don't feel like her normal. That's the balance we should all strive for. Not fear, not denial, awareness. Because growing older isn't about becoming fragile. It's about becoming wiser. It's about understanding that your health is one of the greatest investments you'll ever make. Every healthy meal, every walk around the neighborhood, every doctor's appointment you keep, every question you ask, every choice to pay attention instead of looking away, those decisions matter. They matter today. They matter next year. And they matter for the memories you still want to create with the people you love. So if today's conversation encourages even one person to schedule a checkup, ask an important question, or recognize a warning sign a little earlier, then these few minutes together have been worthwhile. Because the goal isn't simply to live longer. It's to live better, to remain independent, to stay connected to family, to wake up each morning with the freedom to enjoy the life you've spent decades building. Your kidneys have been taking care of you every minute of every day. Perhaps today is a good day to start taking care of them, too. And before you go, I'd love to leave you with one final thought, because this community isn't just about sharing health information. It's about helping one another age with wisdom, strength, and hope. Before we say goodbye, I'd like to ask you something. As you listen to today's video, did any of these warning signs sound familiar? Perhaps you've noticed swelling in your ankles. Maybe you've been waking up more often during the night. Or perhaps you've simply felt more tired than usual and always assumed it was just part of getting older. Whatever your experience may be, please remember this. You are not alone. One of the most meaningful things about this community is that thousands of people are walking the same journey. They're learning. They're asking questions. They're choosing to take better care of themselves, not because they're afraid of aging, but because they want to enjoy every year that lies ahead. So I'd love to hear from you. Which of today's 8 silent signs surprised you the most? Or what's one healthy habit you've adopted that has made a real difference in your life after 60? Share your thoughts in the comments below. You never know who might read your story and realize they're not alone either. Sometimes, a single comment can encourage someone to schedule a medical appointment they've been putting off for months. Sometimes, it can remind another person that it's never too late to start taking better care of themselves. And that's exactly the kind of community we're building here, a place where we learn from one another, support one another, and grow older together with confidence, knowledge, and hope. If you found today's video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It may seem like a small gesture, but it helps YouTube share this information with more people who may need to hear it. And if you're new to Aging Well today, I'd love to invite you to become part of our growing family. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos, where we explore the early warning signs of common health conditions, practical wellness strategies, healthy aging tips, nutrition, and simple lifestyle habits that can help you stay active and independent for years to come. Our goal has never been to create fear. Our goal is to replace uncertainty with understanding, because knowledge gives us choices, and choices give us the opportunity to protect the life we've worked so hard to build. As always, remember, every small step toward better health matters. Every healthy meal matters. Every walk around the block matters. Every good night's sleep matters. Every conversation with your healthcare provider matters. And every day you choose to listen to your body is another day you're investing in your future. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. Take good care of yourself. Take good care of the people you love. And until we meet again, keep aging well. We'll see you in the next video.